Hello my friends, today we're learning Baba Basra Daf Tzadik Aleph, the 90th page in Baba Basra. We're 3 months in. We're going to start from Tzadik on the base. Tonur Rabbanon, Ein Moitzim Peris Meretz Yisrael. You're not allowed to take out fruit from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Dvarim sheyesh b'hem chayei nefesh, things that are basic needs. Kigoin, for example, yenois, wine, shmonim, oils, v'shtlotos, it's a type of flour. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Mati beyayin. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says wine you're allowed to take out of Eretz Yisrael. B'fnei shemimaitis at tifla, because yain causes nus, because people lose themselves when they drink wine, so it's not a problem that there'll be a lack of wine in Eretz Yisrael. Ukishein she'ein moitzim Eretz Yisrael lechol, like you're not allowed to take from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Kachein moitzim Eretz Yisrael leSuria, even to Syria, even though that was conquered by the Jews, it's still called kivush yochid. You're not allowed to take out the basic necessities. The Rebbe says it's muta mi ifricha leifricha, meaning from the last village in Eretz Yisrael to the first village in Syria, it's muta to take fruit and basic necessities. Says the Gemara, Tonur Rabbanon, ein mistakrim be'Eretz Yisrael b'dvarim sheyesh b'hem chayei nefesh kigoin yenois, shmonim, v'slotos. You're not allowed to make business in Eretz Yisrael from basic necessities like wine, oil, and flour. And meaning you're not allowed to buy it from the person who produced them and then go sell it for a higher price. But the guy who makes them or grows them, he's allowed to sell them. Omru alav Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, they said about Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, she'oya mistaker b'yayin v'shemen, and he used to buy and sell wine and shemen. The reason is, beyayin sovala Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, like we said before, they said that there's no problem if the price goes up. B'shemen, b'asr Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, shchiach mishcha, or the law of oil, there was no problem that the price would go up. The price wouldn't go up because it was a very common thing by him. And the reason why you're not allowed to do it is because we're scared the price should go up. Tonur Rabbanon learned, En mistakrim pa'amayim bebeitzim, you're not allowed to gain double. We'll see what pa'amayim means in eggs. Omar Mori bar Mori, pligi barav shmur, what means pa'amayim bebeitzim? Chad Omar, chad trey, you're not allowed to sell eggs for double the price. Even though they're normally you're not allowed to sell more than 6. By eggs, it's muta until double the price, because the poor people would deal with it and was a lot of work and not a lot of profit. V'chad Omar means tagar letagra. You're not allowed someone who buys eggs to sell them, he's allowed, but he's not allowed to sell it to someone else who's going to sell them, because then the price is going to go up. Tonur Rabbanon maturim al pragmatia v'afilu b'Shabbos, they announced to daven if the prices go down and everyone loses all what they have because the value goes down, so you're allowed to, even on Shabbos, you're allowed to announce about it that they should daven for it. Omar Rabbi Yochanan, kegoin klei pishton beBovel v'yayin v'shem b'Eretz Yisrael. So Rabbi Yochanan says it's like flax clothes in Bovel that's common over there, and wine and oil in Eretz Yisrael where it's common when everyone have, and if the price goes down, everyone loses. Omar Rabbi Yosef v'utazal v'kam asor b'shita. That's talking about where the price went down so much that it used to get sold for 10 and now it's only gets sold for 6. Tonur Rabbanon learned, Ein yotzim eretz the Chutz La'aretz, you're not allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz, elo im kein omdu sosayim besela. Only if something that the price went up so expensive that something, let me just see this. Only if the price went up so much that Sosayim flour gets sold for a seller. That's very expensive. Then you're allowed to leave. Omar Rab Shimon, Eimosai, when are you allowed to leave? Bizman she'enu moitzelikach, the price went up and you're poor, you don't have money to buy. But bizman she'moitzelikach, if you have money and the price went up very high, afilu omdo seo b'sela, even the price went up so much that one saw costs a full seller, lo yetze, you're not allowed to leave because you have money to buy. V'chein oyer Rab Shimon ben Yochai omer Rab Shimon ben Yochai, the Heilige Rab Shimon ben Yochai used to say, Elimelech machloin v'kilyon gdoyle ador uparnos oyu uparnos ador oyu. Elimelech machloin v'kilyon, in the story of Rus and Naomi and Boaz, who left Eretz Yisrael and they died, they were gdoyle ador and they've parnos ador. Why did they get punished? The reason why they got punished because they left Eretz Yisrael. Shenemar, because it said in the pasuk, "Vatom kol ha'ir aleim v'toyim marno." When Azois when Naomi came back, the whole city of Beis Lechem said, "Is this Naomi? My Azois Naomi. What does it mean, Azois Naomi?" Omar Rav Yitzchak, Omru achazisem Naomi sheyotzasa michul me'eretz l'chul. You saw Naomi, she left Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. Ma'osolo, look how she came back. She came back like a beggar. So from there we could see that the reason why Elimelech and Machlon and Kilon got punished is because they left Eretz Yisrael. Ma'osolo, v'Omar Rabbi Yitzchak, oiso hayoim shebos Rus Amoyavio le'Eretz Yisrael. The day that Rus Amoyavio came back to Eretz Yisrael and then she married Boaz later on. Meisa ishto shel Boaz, the wife of Boaz, died. Vainu daimrinchi. This is what people say. Adeloi shochiv shivcha. Until when the person dies, kaima minu beite. There's someone already in charge of the house. So the woman died, the wife of Boaz, and already Rus came, even though it took some time until Boaz married her. But the one who's going to take over a place already arrived. Omar Rabba Barav Huna Omar Rav Avtzon, who's mentioned in Shoiftim as a Shoifet, the Boaz is the same Boaz. The same one. Says the Gemara, why is he coming to tell you? It's coming to tell you, Ki idach de Rabba Bar Rav Huna, the Omar Rabba Bar Rav Huna, Omar Rav, Mea ve'esrim mishtois also Boaz lebonov. 120 celebrations Boaz did to his kids. Shenemar, because it says about Avtzon, Vayuloi shloishim bonim v'shloishim bonois, sholach achutzo v'shloishim bonois evi libonov min achutz. They had 60 kids. Veishpoitis Yisrael sheva shonim, and he ruled the Jewish people 7 years. V'chol achas ve'achas, every wedding of his 60 kids, also shtei mishtois, he did 2 celebrations. Achas bebeis ovi ve'achas bebeis chomiv, one by him and one by the father-in-law. That means so 60 kids, each one 2 celebrations. That's 120 celebrations. And in all of these, he never invited Monoach, the father of Shimshon. Omar, sorry, Omar Kunda Akora. Kunda is like a proda, is a type of animal that can't have kids. But my Parali, he doesn't have kids. He's not going to make any weddings for his kids. He'll never invite me, so I'm not going to invite him. Tona, it says the kula meisa b'chayav. All these 60 kids died in his life. Ainu daimrinchi, and this is what people say. B'chayecho duelda tashitin shiti lo molech ichpil v'oilad chad demishitin zoris. Sometimes it's better to have one kid more than 60, because he had 60 kids and they all died in his life. And at the end of his life, Boaz married Ruth and he had one child, and from that he had the continuation until David and Malchus based David. So sometimes one kid who's quick and survives is better than 60 kids. Omar Rab Chanan Barova Omar Rav Elimelech v'Shalmon Uploini Almoini. Elimelech, the father of Machlon Kilion, v'Shalmon Uploini Almoini, in the story of Boaz. Ve'avi Naomi, the father of Naomi. Kulun bnei Nachshon ben Aminod of Ein. All the sons, that means they're all descendants of Nachshon ben Aminodov. Michael Mashmalon, why do we need to know this? Says the Gemara, Shafilu, to tell you, Mishi Yeshlo Ischus Ovois, like Nachshon ben Aminodov, Eino Imedeslo, it doesn't help him. B'shor Shiyotzim Eretz L'chutz L'Oretz, like we see that Elimelech died, even though that he left, or even though they had Ischus Ovois, he died because he left Eretz Yisrael. V'Omar Rav Chanon Barov, V'Omar Rav, Imei de Avram, the mother of Avram, what's her name? Amtaloi bas Karnovoi. And Ime de Hamon, the mother of Hamon, Amtaloi bas Urvosi, a very similar name. V'Simonech, to remember which one's which. Tome, Tor. Urvosi is like a loshon of Oirev, that's not a kosher bird, and that's a Hamon. And Karnovoi is a loshon of a sheep, and that's a kosher animal, and that's the mother of Avram. Ime de David, the mother of David, is Natzeves Basadoil. Shmo, that's a name. Ime de Shimshon, the mother of Shimshon, Tzalalfonis. Va'achte, and his sister Nashon. Says the Gemara, why do we need to know the names of all these mothers and sisters? Says the Gemara, that people are going to come, people who have tainis, and say things are not true. Who's the mother of Avram? Who's the mother of Shimshon? So, okay, it doesn't say it in the Torah, but we have a Kabbalah and we know who they were. V'omar Rav Chanon barav v'omar Rav Eser Shonim Nechbash Avram Avinu, when he fighted the people over there, and he said, how could it be that there is a Avodah Zarah who can't do anything? And he put a stick, etc., the whole story, and he had a fight with everyone in his generation who believed in Avodah Zarah. They put him 10 years in prison. Sholosh bekuta, in the prison in Kuta, v'sheva bekaradoi. V'ravdimi min ha'adorei masni ipchilin is the different opposite, that 7 years in Kuta and 3 years in Karadoi. Omar v'chizda ibra ze'ira de Kuta, the passageway, the small passageway of Kuta, Zuri Kastim, that's a place that we know as Ur Kastim. V'omar Rav Chanan barova Omar Rav, oisa yom shenifta Avram Avinu min oilam, the day that Avram Avinu passed away from the world, Omdu kol gdoile umos ha'olam, all the gdoile ador of that generation stood b'shura, in a line, like when Ovel dies and they stand in a shora to Menachem the Avelim. V'omru, and they said, oiloi le'olam she'ovad, bad is for the world that lost, as the Gemara Tzadik Aleph on the base, man igoi, its leader, v'oilo le'sfina, and oi for the ship, she'ovad kar barnita, that lost its leader of the ship. It's like a marshal that the world lost its big leader. It says in the pasuk, "Vamisnase lechol roish." Omar Rav Chanan barova Omar Rav afilu reish gargrusa mishmaya mukmilei. From here we could see from this pasuk, "Vamisnase lechol roish." Hashem's in charge of anyone who becomes a roish, who becomes a leader, even the leader who's in charge of how much water is each one's person's allowed for watering his gardens, is Hashem's decides who he will be. Omar Rabchia Barabin Omar Rabbi Shua ben Korcha. He argues, we said on Amud Aleph that the reason why Machlin and Killian died was because they left Eretz Yisrael. It says, no, chas v'shalom, shafilu motu subim lo yotzu, even if they'd have something basic to eat, they wouldn't leave. V'elo mipnei manen, why did they all die? Sha'oyon levakesh rachamim aldorim v'lo bikshu, they left Eretz Yisrael, they never asked and begged to Hashem to have rachamim on the people in Eretz Yisrael who are starving to death. Shneimar, it's in the pasuk, b'zakoscho, when you shout to Hashem, yetzilucha kvutzecho, that's by you davening for other people to get saved, you'll get saved. Omar Rabba Bar Bar Chana, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, lo shonu elo mois bezoil uperes biyoika. When did we say that you're not allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael where you have money and the fruit's expensive and it's easy to get money? Aval mois biyoika, if it's very difficult to get money, afilu omdu arba soin besela, even 4 soin get sold for a seller, yoitzim, you're allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael. Now we're going to say lots of things about Rabbi Yochanan said that he remembered. The Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Ne'irna, I remember, kad avu kaimin, when the price was arba soim besela, va'avin efishin apichib kafon betveria, and in Tveria, the place where Rabbi Yochanan lived, lots of people were starving, midlis isa, and they didn't even have a isa, and they'd still stay there. V'omar Rabbi Yochanan ne'irna, I remember, kad loy ava mitgarnim poyalin lemidnach karto, when couldn't find workers to work in the one side of Tveria, mirech peita mason, they would die from the smell of the bread in the other part of town. V'omar Rabbi Yochanan ne'irna, I remember, kad ave botza yinuka charuva, when a child would cut open a carob, v'aven nogid chuta, the duvsha come out like honey out of it, and train daroy on both of his arms. V'omer Rabbi Lazar Neirna, remember, Kad Ave Notil Urva Bisra, when a rabbin would take a meat, V'nogid Chuta, and he'd go on the wall, Nogid Chuta de Mishcha, the fat that would come out the meat, Mirei Shura of Adlara, from the head of from the top of the wall that he was sitting on until the ground, because the meat was so good. V'omer Rabbi Yochanan Neirna, Kad Ave Mitailin, Taila V'talyosa B'shukka, Kebar Shittiser, Kebar Rabbi Yochanan says, I remember when a boy and a girl would go in the shuk, and they would be the age of 16 and 17, and they'd go together, and they wouldn't do no avera. That they used to say in the base medrash, the moidiloin, the one who admits to the avodas kachavim, nafal beyodoin, he's going to fall in their hands. The one, he doesn't mean to admit to them, he means mitratzelem, he listens to them. You have to argue with them. The misrachitz aloyon, the one who trusts them, delay, they'll take away all what he has. Ksiv, it says in the Pasuk Machloin Nikilion that that's the children of Elimelech's names. V'ksiv Yoyash v'Soraf in Divrei Hayomim, it seems like that they have different names. Rav Shmuel, they argue about it. Chadom, one says Machloin Nikilion Shmon, that's really the names. V'lama Likor Shmon Sharaf Yoyash Nisyashim Negeula, that he gave up from the Geula. And they went to Chutz La'aretz. Saraf shenischayvu streifel amokim, because they left Eretz Yisrael. The Chadomar, one of them, Rav Shmuel, says the opposite. Yoev Saraf Shmon, real the names. What it says in Divrei Hayomim is the real names. V'lama nikra Shmo Machlon v'Kilion. Why in Megillas Ruos they had a different name? Machlon she'osu gufon chulin, that they made their body chulin, that they went from Kedushas Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. V'Kilion shenischayvu because they left Eretz Yisrael. Tanya Kimando Amar Machlon v'Kilion Shmon. We have a brisa that says lefi the shitta that the real name was Machlon v'Kilion. The Tanya we learned in the brisa Ma'idich. What's pshat in the pasuk? It's a pasuk in Divrei Hayomim. V'yoikim v'anshi koziva v'yoyosh v'soraf asher balu lemoyov v'yesh v'lechem v'advorim atikim. So we explain the pasuk. The brisa explains v'yoikim v'yoshua she'ikim shvuah l'anshi givoin, that he kept his shvuah that he made to the people who givoin, who cheated him. V'anshi kuzvuya elu anshi givoin shekozvu b'Yeshua, that's why they called kuziva, because they lied and they said they come from a far country. V'yoyash v'soraf elu machlin v'kilion. V'lama nikra shmoin v'yoyash v'soraf yoyash shenisyash minagula soraf shenischayvu sreifel amokoim. So we could see clearly in the brisa, lefi the shitta, that the real name was Machlon v'Kilion. Asher balu lemoyov, what does that mean? Shenosu noshe moyav, that they married women for Moyav. V'yosh v'lechem the rusa moyavio sheshova v'nidbeko bebeis lechem Yehuda, that she came and back to Beis Lechem, and she came back and she was Gaia. V'advorim atikim dvorim alolu atik yoyma omron, and atik yoyma, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu said these things. Tichsiv, it says in the pasuk, Motzosi David Avdi v'ksiv shnei bnei secha nimtzois. So we could see that by Lot, who from when the Malachim came to tell Lot and nimtzois, and we use the word nimtzois, and by David we use the word motzasi. So Hashem was saying that it was his plan, it was his big plan, that from Moyav David HaMelech will come from Rusa Moyavio, who was Mizgaya and married Boaz. It says in the pasuk in continuation in Divrei Hayomim, Eima yoytzim v'yoyshvin etoyim v'gedora im HaMelech b'melachto yoshvu shom. So we explain, Eima yoytzim ele bnei Yoinodo ben Rochov shenotzu shvuas avim, that they kept their father's shvuah. Yoyshvin etoyim v'shloimo shedoim elenetir b'malchuso. It's the king Solomon who's sitting in his kingdom like a tree rooted to the ground. The Gidra, the Sanhedrin, Shegodru Putzuseim Shel Yisrael. Im HaMelech b'melachto yoshvu shom. Who is that? The Rusa Moyavio Shirasa b'malchus Shloima, that she lived for many years to see her great-grandson, like we're going to see Shloima, who is that Ben Benoi Shel Ben Beno. 5 Ben Benoi Shel Ben Beno, 4 generations later, Shenema v'yosam kisoleim hamelech, that it says that Shloima put a chair for the mother of the king, v'omar Rabbeloza le'ima shel malchus, the mother of the kingdom. It doesn't mean Shloima's mother, it means the mother of the kingdom. Who the mother of Beis David is? Rusa Moyavio. Tonra Bonon, it says in the Pasuk, until now we said not such good things, so we want to finish off the Perek in a more positive way. Also talking about maybe the opposite of famine, when there was extra. Tonra Bonon, ve'chaltem in atvo yoshon. That means beloi salamantoin. My beloi salamantoin, what does salamantoin mean? Rav Nachman, oma beloi retzinesa, without worms, there's no worms in the wheat. Rav Sheshes, oma beloi shtifa, without shidofa, that means that the wheat goes bad. Tanika Seder Sheshes, Tanika Seder of Nachman, we have a Braisa like him and a Braisa like him. Tanika Seder of Nachman, Vachaltim Yoshon, Yochol Yisrael Mitzapim Lechodosh Bifnei Yoshon Shekolo. It's mashma that there's nothing to eat and they're waiting for the next wheat to come. Tamud Loima Ad Boyet Vu also Ad Shetovet Vu Me'eleo, know that they have plenty and there's too much even. So we could see, like Rav Nachman, that it means worms. Tanika v'seder of Sheishes, it says v'achaltim an atvo yoshan yochol yisrael mitzapim lechodosh v'nei yoshan shira, because the Yoshan's bad. That's why they're waiting for the new wheat to come in, because the old wheat is bad. I mean, like shidofin, like what he said, like what Rav Sheshes says, Talmud lo imad bot v'osa ad shetovoi tvot me'eleo, that there's tons of tvor, there's plenty. And the first Bryce, it says Fnei Yoshan Shekola, that's finished. Why is it finished? Because of the worms. Ton Rabbanon, it says in the Bryce, V'achaltim Yoshan Nosha Melamed. What do we see from here, from Yoshan Nosha Melamed? Shekola miyusha mechavera, anything that's in the produce is older. Avi Yofa mechavera is better than its friend. Ve'inli elo dvorim shedarkom liashnom. But when do we say that something that's old is good? There's only something that's good to make old. Dvorim shein darkom liashnom inayin. Okay, very good wine, old wine. We know it's good to have old wine, but something that's not the derech, how do we know that older is better? Talmud Lama Yoshan Noishon Mikol Mokoim, that by everything it's better to eat older. The Rashbam says, Shona Kosuv, it says twice, Yoshan Noishon Loidia Shvacha Yitrol, Shafilo Oison Sheb Ein Darkrom Leashnom, Yisyashnu V'Yitkaimu. Normally apple gets rotten, but the Shvacha Yitrol Ochlu Yoshan Noishon, even the apples will get better and better. The Yoshan Mipnei Chodosh Toitziu, Melamed Shiyoitris Mileim Yoshan, the storehouses will be full of old produce, good. The groiners, and it's also places where you store Mileim Chodosh. The groiners is where the new produce is, full of wine. The Yisrael Omrim, and the Jews are going to say, Eich noitzi zeh mifnei zeh. Well, we're going to take out, what are we going to do? We have too much. We should take out the old ones and put in the new ones from the fields. And even though that the old one is better than the new one, they'll still do that, because the new one, there's still time to get it older, but the old one is already old and good. Omer Papa, says Papa, Kol Mili Atika Ma'alia, everything that's older is better. Lebar, except of Mitmari, from dates, Veshichra, and Bia, Vaharsina, and small fish that don't get better with time. Hadron Allah, Chamoiches Asfina, we finished Amoich Asfina, and we want to come back to you and hope to learn you again and to remember what we learned here and to mekayim what we learned here and to be zoicha to learn it many times to the depth, to learn the whole Shas and to understand that Agaditas are quite difficult. We should have lots of Yeshuas and Geula Kroiva Lovoi B'meira B'yomeinu Amen. Thank you very much.